Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Just Being Candid with me, your host Candid, and we have a great show lined up today. Well, I have a great show lined up today. Of course, you're gonna have the verse of the day. We're gonna go into our topic for today, and I got two documentaries that I watched. I want to tell you a little bit about. But first, let's get into the verse of the day. It's coming from Isaiah 48 verses 18 through 19. I'll be reading this from the NIV um version, and it says, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wastelands." So, what does all this mean, and why did I decide to choose this verse? One, I like to pick verses that's relatable to me, something that I can take from and share. I like to call it candid moment. If you listen to the past, I don't know, maybe it was like the 3 episodes back or 2 episodes back, I talked about how I got laid off and my whole world shook, I did have savings and things of that nature, but at some point, I had to rely on my family, my friends, in particular my sister, really. Like I really had to rely heavily on her. Um, and you apply for all these roles, put your resume in, and it doesn't look the way you want it to look. And then at some point, as Pastor Toria has said in a sermon before, is enduring the hardship, and I had to endure the hardships. And I'm fortunate enough to have a bounce back. It's not a fast bounce back, but it's bouncing back where I am employed. I am still in the industry that I want to be in. So for those who aren't familiar with me, I work in the youth development industry. I did project coordination, project management. I led a youth advisory board. Um, I spoken at different organizations on the importance of goal setting. I did mentorships as well to youth. So, I like staying in that space. I always like to be the person that I didn't have for myself. I was blessed to have a mother who did everything for me. I didn't have to want for anything, honestly. And being an adult, I look back now and I'm like, how did my mom put me through Catholic school my whole life from like pre-K all the way through college on a single income? I never missed a meal. Maybe it wasn't like 5-star meals, but I never missed a meal. Always had a birthday, always had a Christmas, always had Thanksgiving, always had good clothes. Like I had the best of the best. And, being an adult with no child, I'm like, Dad, thank God I don't have no children. I don't even think I can take care of a dog right now, to be honest with you. But I say that to say, to lead it back to the verse of the day, is God is doing new things for you. You may not see it now, but you have to start envisioning what you want, where you want to be, how you want to live, who you want around you. And once you start seeing it and believing it, God will bless you with it. But He has to know that you believe in Him. Because if you don't believe in Him, why would He bless you with something that you don't believe in? Or do you think, like, oh, God, I don't believe, you got to show me? He might do that too. But at the end of the day, don't dwell on the past and focus on the future. And that's something that I had to tell myself to get a positive mindset is, don't dwell on the things that you lost. Like, for example, I had to sell all my stocks. And I was very reluctant, but I had to pay bills. So I sold them. And I was like, you know what? You can buy these stocks again when you are back in the position to buy stocks. So it's not like you can't do it. And I had to get out the mind frame of like, oh my God, if I let these stocks go, I'm never gonna have them again. And yes, I can. And the beauty of it is now I know other stocks that I want to get and invest in the future. And I know how much more money I want to put into those stocks. So listen, don't dwell on the past, stay focused, and remember that He's making a way in the wilderness, and He will provide streams in the wastelands. So I want to talk about a topic that you're going to have to, just go with me with this one. I don't have a super solid structure, but I want to talk about you can do anything. You can do anything. What's the drink song? All I gotta do is put my mind to this ish. That's all you gotta do. Put your mind to it. And the reason why I want to talk about this particular topic is because I watched a documentary and I just finished this audio book, and I noticed the similarities that they both had when it came to accomplishing their their goals, and to this day they're alive, being successful. And the other couple of weeks ago, I was in my woe was me. Yes, I'm blessed to be working. Yes, I'm blessed to have shelter, food in my refrigerator, the lifestyle that, I want. Like, one thing I say is people pray for the problems that I have. And it's true. Remember that people pray for the problems that you have. So but I was in like a little like, dad, man, I really wanna be here and XYZ, yada yada yada. And as I'm in my little woe was me spell, um, I'm cleaning out my Gmail because storage is full. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not paying money for more extra space. I'm already paying Apple more extra space, money for more storage. I'm already paying Verizon for extra cloud storage. Gmail, no, I'm not. I'm not doing it. So I'm crying. I'm deleting my emails. I'm going all the way back to like the oldest email, deleting. And I stumbled across an email my mom sent me. And she was talking about like, be the candidate that you want to be. And will the real candidate, Mac, stand up, show yourself? And she was asking me all these questions. And in that moment, I stopped crying because I felt like that was my mom's way of saying, like, I'm here. You know, I know you're going through it right now. I can't be with you physically, but I'm here spiritually with you. Because when I lost my mom, it was like losing my guiding star, you know, and not being able to call her and say, like, this is what's going on. This is what I think I want to do, or this is what I'm planning on doing, but I'm not sure. Let me get your feedback. And it's difficult not to have that. And I'm very grateful and I'm very blessed that I have my sister that I can bounce ideas and tell her like my grievances and my dreams and stuff, but it's nothing like your mom. So I'm going through all these questions, and then I was like, you know what, wipe the tears. Let's bounce back. Let's get to it. You're blessed. You're blessed. You're blessed. So I wound up watching Warren Buffett's documentary on HBO Max. It's called Becoming Warren Buffett. And let me just throw this up on the screen real quick. There you go. So see right here. Becoming Warren Buffett. It's on HBO Max. And I went into this documentary looking to honestly want to figure out how he became a billionaire in stocks. So I'm thinking in this documentary, he's going to be like, I invested in this because of that. And this did this and XYZ. It wasn't like that. And I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad that it told his story from his childhood all the way up to where he is now. Well, where he is at that present time when the documentary was being recorded. And a few things that I took away from this documentary is when he was telling the kids about being successful. I'm not sure if these are high school seniors or college students, but they were in the classroom. And he was there speaking at his hometown because he still lives there. And he was saying the key to being successful is focus and consistency. And that's how he became successful in stocks. Um, One thing in the documentary, he has the same routine that he's had since forever. Um, One thing I found interesting, not interesting, but funny was he gets McDonald's for breakfast. And depending on the market, if the market does well, he'll get like a egg McMuffin with cheese, sausage egg McMuffin with cheese. But if the market isn't doing well, he'll just get like the basic egg McMuffin, no cheese. So he's either spending $2.17 or $3.79. That's it. But he kept that same routine, that same pattern. He reads his stocks, he reads different things. Um, and just his life story, but staying focused and staying consistent um, are the keys to success. We have people on social media saying you need to do this, you need to do that, and X, Y, Z. But at the end of the day, is about your belief in yourself, the confidence that you have in what you're doing, and staying locked in and focused and consistent with it. That's it. Everything else will fall into place. Yes, you need to look at, if let's say, for example, doing this podcast, yes, I have to look at my numbers, what's doing well, what's not doing well, etc., etc. Putting myself out there, making more clips and, doing more YouTube shorts and getting on TikTok and just making sure that I have a social presence. But even with that, I have to make sure that I'm locked in doing that and being consistent at doing it. And one thing I've learned is being consistent with this show, I'm learning more about how to promote myself. I'm learning more about what I need to pay attention to. Um, I'm learning about what I need, what I don't need. Um, at what point do I need to employ some? Employ to a degree like a freelancer to help me with different things. But whoever's watching this, if you are saying like, man, I really want to be successful, man, I've been doing this, you have to lock in and be focused and be consistent. And consistency means doing the things that you don't want to do as well. You have to be consistent in that. It's like an athlete who wakes up every morning at 4 or 5 o'clock, goes to the gym, works out, then gets their reps in, throwing up shots, throwing the football, hitting the baseball, whatever it is that they do on a consistent basis. Do you think they really enjoy waking up at 4 a.m. to work out? But for that individual to be successful, that's what they had to do. Go to bed at a certain time, eat a certain way, you know, don't eat sweets, watch their carbs, whatever it is that they had to do to be successful in anything. Newscasters, journalists, like you name it, you have to eventually lock in and focus and understand also saying you want to do something and doing it are two different things. We can say what we want to do all the time, but when you actually do it, it's more than the surface. It's what's, as they say with a car, it's what's under the hood. What are you doing in preparation to make sure that what you want to do comes into fruition? You want to be an actor. What are you doing to be an actor? Are you taking classes? Are you studying your craft? Are you watching other actors to see how they are in movies? Are you learning who directors are? Different things like that. So focus and consistency is something I learned watching the Warren Buffett documentary. I'll throw it back up again. Right here, this is what it looks like. It's on HBO Max. It's called Becoming Warren Buffett. But what also resonated with me was Whoopi Goldberg's latest book. It's called Bits and Pieces, My Mother, My Brother, and Me. And man, this book right here, honestly, I'm actually gonna buy the book so I could put it back here on my bookcase because I have the audio version on Audible, so I'll listen to it. First and foremost, for me, it had me going through different emotions. I was crying, I was laughing at the stories, I was shocked at certain situations. Um, it was just a really good book, just how she told the stories of her life and especially about her mom. Like for those who don't know, I lost my mother in 2019. And just hearing her stories about her mom, it had me think about my mom as well. Like I always think about my mom, but it just had me thinking about like certain things with my mom. Spoiler alert, she was talking about Christmas, how her mom always made Christmas happen. And she always wondered, like, how did my mom get this big ass Christmas tree in this project apartment without us even seeing it? And that's how it was to me when I grew up. I would come home from school, or it'll be like a weekend, come from my grandmother's house. Next thing you know, boom, it's a Christmas tree. And it's like, how does she do that? Or go to bed and boom, there's all these presents. It's like, where she hid them at? Because I definitely was looking. So those stories, I remember one time I was like on the treadmill, just started tearing up. I was like, okay, time to turn this book off. Turn this book off, and I gotta play something hardcore. I gotta play some DMX or something like that. Just get me back in my, mood, because I don't want to be crying on the treadmill, people looking at me. Or I'd be like, what's wrong? So, but to land the plane, to get back to You Could Do Anything, Whoopi had her mind made up that she was going to be an actress. She had her mind made up that she was going to win an Oscar, at least be nominated for one. She had her mind made up that she was going to be the best version of herself, for her daughter, for her mother, for her brother, because she wanted to give them a better life than they had growing up. And she wanted to pay back her mom for all the sacrifices that she made. And she did that, Ishman. She betted on herself by going to California. But two of her friends had her daughter. Things wasn't working out in her favor because she'll be in LA. She wound up in San Diego, so she had to figure out how to get to LA, but also how she's going to raise her daughter. She didn't have a car. She didn't have any money. And when I say she did that thing, she did it. She did that thing, man. And she eventually started working in like theaters. Then she started doing her one person show. She wrote a letter to Alice Walker, The Color Purple, saying like, one day I love to be a part of this movie. And I'm not going to tell you what happened after that, because I'll definitely be a spoiler. But like, I walked away from this book saying like, yo, you can do anything. And that's why I named this episode You Can Do Anything. And that's why I keep reiterating it, so you as the viewer knows you can do anything. It's consistency and focus. So Whoopi Goldberg, if you are into books, if you're a reader, you love audio versions of books, this is a great book. Bits and Pieces, My Mother, My Brother, and Me. So before we head out, you know me, I love a good documentary. So if you're new to the show, you're a returning watcher, viewer, I love me a good documentary. Like, I love me a good documentary. The last one I recommended was, I think it was Breaking the Bank. 50 Billion Win Trader on HBO Max. So the one I'm recommending today, it was actually suggested to me by someone by a colleague actually, because she's been seeing my documentary reviews and suggestions as well. And I was telling her we were just swapping documentaries and whatever. But if you haven't seen Child Chiller, listen, y'all. Child Chiller. This right here. Child Chiller is another one on HBO Max. It originally came out on CNN. You know, if you don't know, CNN does like these different series, but let me just give you the breakdown to Chowchilla without spoiling. I'm gonna try. Chowchilla is a city based in California. It's a small town. I don't know now, but back in 1976, because the documentary took place in 1976, July to be exact. Um, where, and this is a true story. This is a true story, where 26 children and the bus driver go missing. It's a peaceful summer day in July. Kids are coming back from school and the school bus goes missing. And the town is so small that first, the town never had any crime, like crime-free town, right? So parents started calling the police department like, hey, the bus hasn't dropped my kid off. Another parent, the bus hasn't dropped my kid off. So the police sheriff or deputy, he's like, how could a big yellow school bus go missing in this small town? So people are driving everywhere. When I said this documentary had so many plot twists, this documentary was very intense as well. Intense to the point where I had to pause it for 10 minutes and just walk away and just walk away from it and then come back. And I don't remember, but I never had a documentary like that, had me do that, step away from it, where I felt like it was just too much, because these children were from the ages of 5 to 14, all on the school bus. They were kidnapped, held hostage, and then they were buried underground. Spoiler alert, sorry. But they were buried underground, right? Little air, little water, like they gave them a little bit of water and stuff like that, but they were stuck down there. Now, without me giving away what happened, but just in case, spoiler alert. What I found shocking about it was, one, the bus driver. The bus driver took accountability for rescuing the kids, knowing damn well he ain't rescuing no kid. I mean, he was technically, like, he kind of helped, but he wasn't the person that got them out of there. You got to watch to see who got them out of there. And when you see who got them out of there, you'll be like, yo, you was dead wrong, Mr. Bus Driver. So that's one. Number two, the kidnappers. The person who masterminded the kidnapping, very shocking. Very shocking. Talk about privilege and greedy. All right, I'll leave it at that. And number three, the parole and the forgiveness. I'm not there. So out of the 26 kids, I'll tell you the spoiler alert. One individual decided to forgive and went to the parole hearing and said, listen, I forgive you. To each their own. To each their own. I'm not in that space in my life to be forgiving people when it comes to, like, God forbid, knock on wood, kidnapping. Like, I don't know if I was in that position, because these kids at the time, that now they're full grown adults, they were traumatized. When I say I low key traumatized, and nothing happened to me. I was in my bed watching the documentary, like, just thinking like, oh my God, if I was 6, 7, 8, trying to go home from school and the school bus that I take every day with my friends every day. I always want to go home and get me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or get me some type of snack. And next thing you know, I got 3 men holding guns at us, telling us to get off the bus to get into the van. And then next thing you know, you lowering the van on the ground. Oxygen like that. You can't use the bathroom. One spoiler alert. It was his brother and his sister. The sister had to use the bathroom, but she didn't want to pee because she's around her classmates. But it's like, listen, it is what it is. So her brother wet his pants. Like, listen, I wet my pants. You can wet your pants too. Don't worry about it. And she used the bathroom like on herself. And listen, I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm laughing because it was really a lot, but it was a really great documentary. I think the director was Paul Solette. I think that's who directed it. Let me just look it up real quick. I'm sorry. Child Chiller director. Let's see here. Yeah, Paul Solette was the director of Child Chiller. I'm really curious to what made him want to create this documentary about this town. When I say very well done too, it wasn't just about the story being told, it was how it was told, how they had the victims in present time, but they also had the reenactment from back then, and just the old footage that they had, the actual footage from like the news reports and the sheriff back then and now, the sheriff how he is now, and the what the kids look like then and how it was with them being rescued and it being showed on live television, and then seeing them now and some of the victims meeting each other for the first time in years, just stuff like that. It was just a really put together documentary, and I highly recommend that you watch it. Like I said, right here, Chowchilla, you can catch it on HBO Max. All right, folks. Well, we are at the end of the show. I want to thank everybody for watching. Make sure show your support. Hit the subscribe button. Also, remember to like and comment. I definitely love comments. If you have a documentary review, put in the comment. If you seen Chowchilla, if you read Whoopi Goldberg's book, if you saw Warren Buffett's Warren Buffett's documentary, put in the comment. Let me know what you think about it. I like to have a conversation. Also, remember, if you're on social media platforms, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. It's Just Be Candid. Simple like that. Just be candid. And also, if you have any recommendations you don't want to put in the comments, but you want to send me something, there's the email jbcshow@gmail.com. Thank you everyone for your support. I appreciate it. Focus and consistency. Remember that. Stay focused, stay consistent. I'm going to sign off with my quote that I love by Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe. He says, discipline is self-imposed standards for the sake of a higher goal. So remember what your goal is. Stay disciplined, locked in. And like I said, stay consistent. I'm candid. This is just being candid. And remember, stay blessed, stay prosperous, be candid. I'm not here.